It's episode number 5 in my series of videos about cruising down the Columbia River with American Cruise Lines. In today's video, I wake up in Astoria, Oregon for day 6 of my cruise. Some of our passengers visited the Astoria column, others took a self-guided tour of a Coast Guard lightship, and many of us toured the Columbia River Maritime Museum, which does a great job of explaining why the mouth of the Columbia River is known as the Graveyard of the Pacific. At the end of the previous episode, our ship, American Encore, had just arrived in Astoria, Oregon. This was day 6 of our cruise, and we had made it as far west as we could go without heading out into the open waters of the Pacific Ocean. Just on the other side of that bridge is an area known as the Graveyard of the Pacific, because that's where the strong westward flow of the Columbia River meets the incoming tide of the Pacific Ocean, and things can get very dangerous out there during a storm. We won't be going out there. In fact, tonight, after everyone goes to bed, our ship will begin sailing east. That's the opposite direction we've been sailing up until now, so that we can get over towards the big city of Portland, Oregon, where we'll all catch our return flights home. You can see the weather was cloudy and cool this morning. Welcome to the Oregon coast. That will clear up later in the day, and we'll have a nice sunny afternoon. If you do this trip in June, July, or August, you'll have the best chances of having good weather here at the coast. I want to point something out up on top of that hill. Look right here. See that tower sticking up into the air? That's called the Astoria column. ACL offers an excursion that'll take you there, and you can even climb the 164 steps of the staircase inside all the way up to the top. Now, I was not feeling that energetic, so I opted to walk all the way from our cruise ship to that red ship docked right next to it. It's the Lightship Columbia, where I enjoyed a self-guided tour. This is a decommissioned floating lighthouse that served as a vital navigational beacon out there at the Graveyard of the Pacific. Because of the chaotic currents, shifting sandbars, and fierce winter storms out there at the Graveyard of the Pacific, building a permanent lighthouse was not possible. So beginning in 1892, the federal government anchored lightships out in the water to guide incoming vessels safely past the river bar. The Columbia was the 4th and final lightship to take on that dangerous task. It had a crew of 17 Coast Guard sailors, with roughly 10 men on duty at any given time. Life on the Columbia was defined by long stretches of intense boredom, broken up by terrifying conditions during heavy storms. During a storm, the ship would slam violently against its anchor chains, subjecting the crew to constant jolting. Many of the men became seasick. It was impossible to get a good night's sleep, and when heavy fog rolled in, the ship's deafening foghorn blasted continuously for days on end. It really was deafening, too. Most of the men that served on this ship came home with serious hearing loss. The self-guided tour of the Lightship Columbia is included with the price of admission to the Columbia River Maritime Museum next door. The admission fee is normally $18 for adults, $15 for seniors, but as a passenger of American Cruise Lines, you don't have to pay that. ACL pays it for you. Part of their policy of making sure that ACL passengers don't get nickel and dimed. Contrast that to the way you're always nickel and dimed when you cruise on the mega cruise ships. In this shot, you can see our ship, and just to the left of it is the Lightship Columbia, and just to the left of that is the Columbia River Maritime Museum. Since admission to the museum is free for ACL passengers, let's go inside and take a look. One of the very first things you see inside is a map of some of the known shipwrecks in the area. It's easy to see why the nickname Graveyard of the Pacific is used to describe this area where the Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean. The water flowing down the Columbia River here in Astoria originates from a massive international watershed covering 258,000 square miles, funneling water from 7 U.S. states and 1 Canadian province. By the time all those regional water sources converge and reach the Pacific, the river discharges an average of 265,000 cubic feet of water into the Pacific Ocean each second. And when that water collides with the ocean swells of the Pacific, the resulting waves can tower 40 feet high. Fog is another hazard, covering the Columbia Bar for as many as 200 days each year. A tremendous amount of silt flows down the Columbia and is deposited at the mouth of the river. Ocean currents can build underwater sandbars up to 10 feet high in a year. As a result, the geography of the bar is constantly changing. Well, I think you've probably got the picture now about all the factors that contribute to making the Columbia River Bar a very tricky area for boating and shipping. The Columbia River Maritime Museum also has some displays about warships in the Pacific, about boats used for salmon fishing on the Columbia, and about the barges that transport goods up and down the river. Of course, they have a nice little gift shop, and my personal favorite exhibit was a demonstration of how a green screen is used by TV weather people to bring you the weather reports on the news. That's me giving it a try. In this shot, taken at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can see the Columbia Maritime Museum there on the left, and notice that the weather did finally clear up. That evening, we had another in a series of talented musicians come aboard and play for us. And he wasn't just a pianist, he had us all singing along with him as he played guitar and sang for us. In the evenings at entertainment time, if you're tired and just want to relax in your cabin, you can still enjoy the performances. There's a video and audio feed from the lounge available on the TVs in all the staterooms. At about 10 p.m., the ship sailed out of Astoria, heading east now towards the Portland area. And when I woke up the next morning and put the drone up in the air, we were cruising through a really lovely part of the Columbia River. And because we wouldn't reach today's destination until about 1 o'clock this afternoon, there was going to be hours and hours of gorgeous views to enjoy today. While we're taking a look at video of some of the sights I saw from my balcony during this part of the cruise, I want to remind you that I know a great travel agent that can really help you the next time you're ready to book a cruise with ACL, because she's extremely knowledgeable about American cruise lines. The travel agency that she owns was the #1 agency last year for bookings with American Cruise Lines, out of over 11,500 travel agents nationwide, according to a group called Outside Agents. And booking your cruise through my travel agent, Caitlin Gallagher, the owner of Ambrin Travel, doesn't cost you anything extra. Her fees are paid for by the cruise line. I know that Caitlin will be able to simplify things for you by arranging your air travel, setting up private transportation for you, and arranging extra nights in hotels before or after the cruise. She'll print out luggage tags for you and send them to you, along with a tote bag and a spiral-bound hard copy of your itinerary and travel details. So give Caitlin a call, send her an email, or visit her website, whatever you're most comfortable with. Join me a week from now for the 6th and final episode in this series of videos about my cruise on American Encore. We'll go through one last set of locks, the locks at Bonneville Dam. Then we'll sail under the Bridge of the Gods to get to our final destination, Stevenson, Washington. While the ship is docked there, we'll take an excursion to a ridiculously gorgeous waterfall, Multnomah Falls, just outside of Portland, Oregon. And while we're there, we'll see one last train. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.